Good evening, everyone. This is Kosala, also known as Marventus, and welcome back to MarvTV. I've got a delightful game to play. This is from one of my ladder games. I'm going to start casting my ladder games again, and unfortunately they're no longer Bronze League because, yes indeedy, after something like 4 seasons and God knows how long amount of time playing Starcraft, yours truly is no longer in the Bronze League and actually is in the Silver League now. So this is a Silver League game, and I am in the bottom of the Silver League, playing in this case a top Silver League gamer in the top 5. So here in the top right hand we have Blue Fan as the red Zerg, and me in the bottom left as Marventus, the blue Zerg, as you can imagine. Now this was an absolutely hilarious game. It is absolutely one of the most ingenious ZvZ tactics I've seen yet. So let's get going over here. So in the bottom left, I am droning up as I would normally do. Typically, regardless of whether it's who my opponent is. This guy plays as random, by the way. He just happened to show up as Zerg, Blue Fan. A 15-year-old guy from Sweden, as he's writing down over here. Very pleasant, very chatty dude. And we are droning away, both sides droning away. Nothing particularly weird and wonderful about this starting stage. I'm off to scout because he started out as random, so I had no idea what he was, and I completely missed this overlord on the minimap when I went past him. So I didn't know until I got here what he was. But I found out pretty quickly that he was indeed a Zerg. So there he is, my drone hanging around there, and he has no spawning pool shown up here. I completely missed the fact that he had an expansion. Look at how early this is. He plopped up that expansion at 12 supplies. So when I came here, there was no spawning pool, and I was wondering what the hell is going on here. So I just plopped up a gas there to see what's going on. I completely missed this expansion as I ran by, and I don't know how the hell I managed to do that. Or potentially he simply waited until I run by in order to get the expansion up there. Well, whatever it was, super early expansion. In the meantime, I've got my spawning pool is up and running. Notice he has no pool at this point. We're now into 14 supply. He's at 12 supply, and he has absolutely no pool whatsoever. Oh yeah, he's got one up there now. Actually, I was just saying he has no pool whatsoever, and it's right there. So he must have got it up at 12 supply while he dumped this up at 12 supply as well. So here we are. Both gas going up for him. I tend to start with just one gas because I do a fairly Zergling heavy build in the beginning, so I don't really need a lot of gas. And I saw this happening, and I thought, I should probably need to go down an early muta route. So I plonked down my expansion hatchery, and then I'm going to start gassing up and droning up pretty quickly, heading towards a fast muta build. And on his end, he is happily churning away on his drones, as indeed he should. He did a much better job than I did on droning up. As you can see, his drone count is looking solid over there. Mine is lagging behind a little bit, as I've been spending my drones on buildings instead, and on expansions. Although somehow he seems to have actually got the same amount. Yeah, he's just doing a better job droning than I was, basically. So he's got a few extra drones, making up the bit of an advantage that he needs there right now. And as the game goes by, you'll see how much cooler he gets in his style versus my play, where he just manages to wind up doing the most ridiculous expansion that I have seen ever in one of my games. So here we go. I've got a few lings out now. Few lings out there running along as lings do. Happy little lings swinging by there, yada yada, all good. Poking into his base to see what kind of shenanigans they can get up to. Shenanigans, a very good word there. Well, I keep my injections are doing relatively decently these days. And I'm keeping up on my lava count and my droning, but I walk into here and I find, whoa, this is the first time I noticed that he had a second base. Getting myself annihilated by a spine crawler, so I back off in a hurry. Moving away with my solitary hero Zergling, the one survivor. And over here he has an overlord standing by wondering what the hell's going on. So, expansion is up. It's time to drone up on that now. That's also going a little bit slowly. And still no increase on the drone count here. So what the hell am I doing? Oh yes, I'm spending money on metabolic boost. And I'm getting my lair up as well. Because now the decision to get to Aspire has happened. So that second gas is going down there. And now I know what I'm doing over here. So these gases are going to go up as well. And then I'm going to drone up to saturate. So far, the plan is A-OK. I'm going to toss out a few mutas. I'm going to have some fun. All is well. All is well. So my metabolic boost is just about to finish there. He's also layering up. and he's getting a few more overlords, and he has a nice tactic, as you will see in just a moment. Now my gas over there is being plonked down or being killed down by the queen, who's soloing the crap out of it. So far, let's take a look at how we stand. Army supply, control A. There we go. 4-4 on the army supply and 24-42 on the worker supply. I mean, check that out. He's got 42 drones to my 23, and we're on exactly the same sort of timing schedule, utilizing pretty much the same level of buildings up until this point, and he's got almost twice the amount of drones that I've got. That is pretty damn excellent. Now, going back over here, let's see what's happening here. Droning over here looking absolutely rock solid, and my droning looking like shit. This is what happens when you don't play for like a year. Right, I need to get much better on the droning. But this isn't the exciting bit though. So let's see what happens. Over here, he should be getting his lair now. Yeah, his lair is up, and now we should have an infestation pit going up. My spire pretty much halfway done now. So he transitions from his pretty much drone heavy build at this point. He's got spine crawler and he's got drones. That's pretty much it. In fact, he's got a lot of spine crawlers coming up here. He's got spine crawlers and he has drones, and that's pretty much it. There it is. Infestation pit going down at 48 supply. As soon as the lair was done, spine crawlers went up and an infestation pit went down. There it is. Now this is where the game totally goes down the proverbial shitter for me. Right, also getting Borrow. So the combination that he goes with is Borrow and Infestor. That's pretty much it. He's just got a legion of Infestors and Borrow. So, let's see how this winds up going for me. At this point, I am not clued in. I don't know what I'm up against. So I've got 4 Mutalisks coming out. And this is where I'm going to get my first sort of insight into what's going on. And admittedly, up until this point, I've been handling this game pretty badly. So Pathogen Glass being researched as well before his first infestors come out, as indeed everybody should do. But I've been doing fairly badly so far. So take a look. Now I'm up at 32 supply to his 44. So he stopped roughly around 44 supply and started churning out other units. And I've stopped roughly around the 36 to 40 supply. So none of that is particularly weird, because we're both on 2 bases each. So at this point, the game would have been relatively even if I had adapted to what I saw in slightly more intelligent fashion. So the first 7 infestors are on their way out for our red Zerg, and look how nicely he's timed that. Those 7 infestors are going to get down just as that infestation gland, pathogen gland starts getting finished. It's just nice work. It's nice work. My mutas are coming round. I'm taking a few pot shots at these drones. He moves them out of the way, the queen gets involved, I start peppering the queen, and I do manage to take it down. I think, no I don't, I come back and start peppering drones. So I actually managed to kill 4 or 5 drones here, but the infestors plopped out and bam, I got fungled. Right, now my mutas are going nowhere. Suddenly there's a legion of freaking infestors fungling the crap out of everything they see. So that was the end of my guys. So I thought, okay, let's plonk out some Zerglings, because what I need here is a bunch of Zerglings to deal with this situation. And I'm going to go at this point, my thinking is a Muta Zergling build. So, Metabolic Boost finally now coming out for my opponent. And I am now set on the idea of going down the Muta and Ling path. He's now building up to roughly 520. Look how nicely he's using up all of his minerals. So he starts getting his first expansions. So 1 going down here, 1 going down there, 1 going down there. So 3 expansions plopping out simultaneously while borrowed infestors are coming out. My sole Ling being taken down by some infested Terrans. But here come the infestors. And I had a nice run by of Lings happening that just got annihilated, absolutely annihilated by the infestor madness. And they're happily buried away, getting absolutely no damage whatsoever. I'm grabbing my 3rd expansion over here as well, because I'm feeling the need to expand. But basically my entire posse of Lings completely disappeared. So I'm popping out 7 more Mutalisks. I'm thinking I'll do some Mutalisk harassing and run around this map. So far my thinking is perfectly sound. There's nothing weird about it. It should have been a reasonable counter to this situation, because at this point I thought he just popped out a few infestors, and that was it. But these infestors do the most ridiculous amount of damage during the course of the game. So here I got a few mutas heading this way, spied the expansion coming up there, so I know that he's expanding. So I'm taking my mutas for a little run by, and seeing what I can do. So they parked themselves there for quite a while because it took me a little while to figure out I actually built them and moved them there. But any moment now they'll be on their way. Look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 expansions. 5 expansions went up in pretty much the same 2-minute period after having stayed on 2 bases more or less the whole time. Although he's not really doing anything with these expansions. So let's see what my mutas get up to. Now, where are his infestors? There they are. They're happily hanging out over here. Infested Terrans are getting rid of my queen. So some interesting harassment going on there, but so far still nothing terribly major going on. What's going on here? He's taking down my overlords. Infested Terrans being used really, really nicely here. I don't know why the hell I didn't get overlord speed. But anyway, I usually do get that pretty early. So far he's got this little posse of infestors, and I've got mutas and then 2 waves of zerglings that have already been wiped out. So I just noticed the overlords, taking them out. So far so good. Moving along, and now there's another posse of infestors. A huge posse of infestors are heading this way. And mutas instantly fungled, and then terraned, and then fungled, and then that's all she wrote. So my mutas were not going anywhere. My entire pack of mutas just got completely wiped out by infestors. So that was the end of that, and I was thinking, well, this is freaking puzzling. What the hell do I do now? Zerglings didn't work. Mutalisks didn't work. So I'm sitting there scratching my head wondering, what am I going to do? I decided I'm going to build more powerful Mutalisks. So I've got my upgrades are coming out for my flyers, and I'll be popping out some Zergling upgrades soon, but I'm still sticking to the Ling Muta build. So now the infestors have propped up here, and out come the infested Terrans, and that queen goes down in a really big hurry too. Look at how nicely he did that, by the way. Completely stuck my queen, and he couldn't go anywhere. No choice but to die. And now I've got a large volley of Lings heading out over here across the map, and then over here to deal with this queen and base, which I managed to do reasonably successfully. But in come the infestors once again, and bam, 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 fungals, and then borrow. And fungals again, and borrow. And so far I haven't killed a single one of his infestors, and he's wiped out 2 legions of my Lings, and also and I'm starting to realize that things are getting, you see, I'm yelling out nice tactic here because I start to realize that this is actually not particularly good for me at all. In fact, I have no decent counter to this whatsoever, and I've only got a couple of places where I can set up new bases, and none of them are looking particularly good, really. And over here he's starting to saturate with drones in every conceivable area. Look at this economy, it's massively ahead of mine, and his count is still significantly less than mine as well, which is completely weird. He's just doing a roaringly good job. Oh no, his count of course is vastly higher than mine, but his mineral count is doing much better than mine is. Now I'm gathering all the resources I need, I just can't do anything with them. Well, because my Ling Muta tactic is completely failing. It's just a complete failing disaster. And these infestors, it never once occurred to me to have an army consisting virtually entirely of infestors, because this is basically what he's got. He's just got a gigantic amount of infestors. And now my next round of Lings are getting accosted by yet more infestors, who got caught up here in the middle of the ramp. So I had a huge posse of little Zerglings do a run by, and they got all caught up with infestors and then got themselves killed. And once again borrowing to max health. So it's really peculiar, this concept of what I would have done at this point, because he spread out so hugely I didn't really have the economy to tech up from this point onwards in any intelligent fashion, because presumably I could have gone down an Ultralisk route. But still, these infestors turned out to be really quite dramatic. And then, how much are there now? There's like a command group and a half's worth of infestors running around the map in different areas. And at this point, I was completely stumped as to what to do. You see, there's not a whole lot happening on my end at all. Well, because I actually had no clue what to do, really. I was planning on getting up so I'm putting up my own infestation pit now and building a second spire, because I thought I would take up to Broodlords and see how I get. But again, on 2 bases, it's not very good. Now check this out. We've got infestors running in here, and for some weirdo reason, I forgot to stick an overseer up here. So I got completely surprised by this posse of infestors. This is just bad play on my part, of course. Out he pops, and while he's doing that, I'm sending a huge batch of mutas down to harass his base up here. Now again, this works out reasonably. I do manage to get quite a bunch of his drones, and that base is in serious jeopardy, but yo and behold, here come infestors, yada yada yada, running behind me, and then fungal. Right, immediate fungal, and my mutas are dropping like flies. Fungled again, and borrow, and not a single one of these. Yeah, I had an overseer en route there. I only got one infestor that time. Look at how expensive this is turning out to be. I've taken out 2 infestors so far, and it's cost me 3 volleys of mutas and 3 volleys of zerglings in order to do that. So I really should have teched up into something else, but at this point my brain wasn't working particularly well. And these infestors are making their way out after having wreaked some havoc over here. So my entire batch of mutas dead there again. And these are upgraded mutas as well. These are all one attack upgraded mutas. So it's really quite the disaster. Now at this point I should have really done something different, because this plan was clearly not working. And I think I may have gotten one other infestor in the meantime here. Yep. Now I'm thinking, now I've got another flock of mutas coming out here. See, I've got plenty of actual resources to do this with, but I kept going down the muta route, looking for volumes of them to make a difference. But actually, as it turns out, that actually did not do particularly well at all. And I'm happy to hear some ideas surrounding about this, by the way, folks. So feel free to comment below and tell me how you would have handled this. I assume that teching up to broodlords or ultralisks would have been the way to go here. But on 2 bases, that would have been a tough thing to do. Now this is the crowning glory of this entire escapade. Check out these drones. They're heading down. Now I was so occupied with getting these mutas to do harassment that I completely missed this, because I saw a bunch of drones here and I just saw them as my mutas flew by. And I should have immediately gotten them, but they borrowed out of the way. And then off the drones went. And the mutas missed them, because the overseer came in too late. And let's just follow these drones for a moment, because this is pretty damn funny. Around they go, and they started building gigantic amounts of spine crawlers. Huge amounts of spine crawlers. And I actually did not see this because I was too busy being engaged over here, which he rather cunningly kept me occupied over here while he was doing this. So I actually did not see this until it was way too late. There's just a spectacular amount of spine crawlers cropping up here. It's absolutely hilarious and rather ingenious, because while I was busy trying to carry out my attack over here and my mutas are getting wiped out, up until this point I didn't have time to go and check over here. So when I popped in here, all these spine crawlers just started popping up, and bam, that was the end of that base. It's a mass spine crawler tactic. It's just utterly hilarious. Look at this devastation. There's like 8 spine crawlers up against my 2. And that was the end. Obviously this was GG at this point. There was absolutely no salvaging this at all. It was really nicely done. He actually did a really wonderful job with this entire game. Kept me occupied very nicely, with basically 2 volleys or 2 groups of infestors, and then some nice use of borrowing. It's very nicely done. It was actually quite cool that he managed to get more or less his entire army in place on 2 bases, and then just expanded for kicks. And he's once again heading down with his drones and setting up spine crawlers all over the damn place. It is pretty damn hilarious. This is a great way to take down a base with some unwanted drones. Very nicely done. Well, there you go, folks. Obviously it was GG from this point onwards. I hope you guys enjoyed this rather unorthodox tactic from my opponent over here, and good gaming, and have a lovely weekend.